Hello again, fellow BeachBum traders. Welcome to part 2 of our weekly trading game plan for the trading week of February 13th through February 17th, where we'll cover our top swing trading stocks to watch. We'll also talk about our option strategies, our strategies for investing in dividend stocks, etc. So stick around to the end. We have a number of trade ideas and additional strategies that we're employing to put our idle cash to work, make money trading during the current market environment. So if you have not already seen part 1 of our weekly trading game plan titled We Still Love Trading, we would highly recommend you view part 1 of our weekly trading game plan for this week, as that contains the market analysis, our strategies, additional trade ideas that we're using as input to selecting our top swing trading stocks to watch for this week. Again, this is our Google document. It's publicly available. You should be able to find a direct link to this Google document in the description box below. We store our notes for our weekly trading game plans in a publicly accessible Google Drive folder, and you can also find a link to this Google Drive folder in the description box below, so you can reference back both these notes for this weekly trading game plan as well as our previous weekly trading game plans. Welcome Walter Lyons, Tony Roses, Alan Krentz. Thank you all for joining us in the live chat today. Glad to see you all. Hope you're having a good weekend. Ricky Khan, glad to see you as well. So firstly, we'll cover a couple of our trades that we made last week, and we'll look at the charts, and then we'll talk about how we're utilizing these in our strategy for this week as well. We had gone long on FAZ. FAZ is a leveraged ETF, Bear 3X on the financial sector. And we had gone long on FAZ at 1540 on the 3rd. We exited, got stopped out at 1576 on the 7th. So we got an ROI of about a little over 2%. So monthly ROI of 17.5. So congratulations to all of our other fellow BeachBum traders who also profited from the scalp swing trade in FAZ. And then also LABD, which is the Bear 3X on the biotech sector. Again, we've been talking about our strategy of shorting both financials and biotechs. Biotechs in particular, because they tend to get pushed up with technology in general, and they have a less strong thesis in our humble opinion. So we had entered on the 1st at 1386. We got stopped out on the 9th at 1417. We'll see it made a little dip pre-market, and then it looked like they were going to roll it over, and then after that they did LABD ran up, which meant biotechs went down after that. So we got a little over 2% ROI on that, monthly ROI of about 8.4%. I believe several of our other BeachBum traders made some money on this trade in LABD. So, and as you'll see, we're going to look at opportunities in both FAZ and LABD coming into this week. So just a quick reminder, if you'd like to get real-time trade alerts when we enter and exit positions, you can join any level of our Patreon, any level of membership support in our Patreon, and we post the notifications. You can get email notification of our trades, entries, exits, etc. As soon as we're able to post them, and then they also get automatically posted, or I manually post them to some alerts categories in our Discord that our Patreon members have access to. And we also have automated price alerts from Thinkorswim that get posted in the Thinkorswim alerts channel. So if you would like to get these alerts when we make trades, when our price targets get hit from Thinkorswim, if you join our Patreon, again, you will both get email notifications of our trades and access to these trade alerts. So you can see when we got stopped out in LABD, I posted that in the alerts channel. So again, we don't recommend that anyone blindly follow us or anyone else in a trade, but if you'd find it helpful to see what trades we're making, and again, just a reminder, none of this is financial advice. We're not financial advisors. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. But again, if you would find it helpful to see what trades we're making and when we're exiting, If that'll help you make money in your trading and succeed in your trading career, that's great. So again, any level of our Patreon has access to that. So let me grab a drink a second. We'll look at each of these trades in Webull. So again, FAZ, we entered on the 3rd at 1540, exit on the 7th at 1576. So let's find the 3rd. So you can see at that support level, and then when it ran up a little bit, and then it rolled over, and we exited for a small profit. You can see Thursday, Friday, the financial sector actually went down again. I didn't catch that run up, but again, you'll see in our watch list that we're going to look for an opportunity. It looks like it potentially rolled over. So if they try to push the financial sector again, you can see our price target now is around this bottom around 1514 or that support level down there. So again, if they try to push the financial sector again, we would go long FAZ, which again is shorting the financial sector. I showed last week how in FinViz there's a pretty strong resistance level in FAS, which is the long in the financial sector, and that's what I really use for the entry point, is when FAS peaks and rolls over, gets rejected from that resistance level. That's my trigger for entering in FAZ. LABD, see we got in on the 1st, out on the 9th. So we got in, down here when it made this run, when it made this little roll over, we got stopped out. You can see we had our stops in there, and when it rolled over, and then it subsequently ran from there. So it was, you could see in pre-market they were starting to run it down. So it looked like they might try to push biotech and technology in general again on Thursday, Friday. But then that didn't happen, and so it ran back up. So we'll see if LABD rolls over, if they try to push biotech, particularly on the CPI day, if the results come out better than expected, which means inflation is lower. They might try to run biotech, or they might try to run biotech with technology in general, and that may give us an opportunity there. You'll also see some other things we have on our watch list related to that overall thesis. So let's look at what we've got on our real-time watch list for this week. Welcome to Ricky Khan. Thank you also for joining us. So the first one is one we watched in the past, and it popped up in one of my queries as approaching a support level, is BDRY, which is an ETF on dry bulk shipping. It looks like it's bottoming. We'll take a look at it in the charts. It did pop up a little bit, so if we get a double bottom at a support level, it looks like there's some nice long-term risk reward in BDRY. We just talked about FAZ. We're going to again take a shot at that again if they push the financial sector back up. Same thing with LABD if they try to push technology back up. We're going to take LUMN off the watch list. It broke down on poor guidance or earnings. When they came out with earnings, they gave poor guidance, and it broke down and didn't seem to establish a good bottom. So we're going to take that off the watch list right now. Let me answer this question by Tony Roses. How tight are your stops, sir? Well, thank you. To briefly answer that question, and I have another video on, I think it's called Protecting Your Profits. I manually set stops based on these pivot points, these support and resistance levels. So then often I'm trailing. It depends on the volatility of the stock, but usually I'm trailing this by at least one and sometimes two pivot points. So I wait for it to break above. So when it broke above R1, I might put it below the pivot point here if it's something that's running, and I might want to get out of. If I want to stay in and I just want to trail it, and as it keeps breaking up above these pivot points, as it breaks another pivot point, then I would move it up to, again, 2 pivot points below these. Now, these are based on the average true range is how these pivot points are calculated. And again, I know I need to do some videos on how to use pivot points, how they're calculated, etc., what these support resistance levels mean. But again, I manually move these stops up as it breaks through various levels of resistance. And then when it rolls over and breaks back down, then we get stopped out. And again, how aggressive I am with how many levels behind depends on, is this a longer term swing or is it a scalp type trade? So I hope that helps answer that question. Again, we have some other videos about protecting your profits and how, and showing some specific examples of how I actually have done this on several particular stocks, particular trades. And again, I hope to be able to do more in the future along those lines. Another one we're adding to our watch list back again is this OPP. This is this fixed income bond fund. Has a very nice dividend. Again, they were pushing that down when the bonds were going down, so it may present us with an opportunity to get back into this. If they do give us an opportunity, you can see the next dividend date is Valentine's Day, the 14th, and then following on March 14th. So we'd like to be able to get in before one of those ex-dividend dates. It pays about a 10-cent dividend per share, very nice yield. I would put a very large chunk of money into that and just sit and collect the dividends. And again, towards the end of this video, we're going to talk about how we're going to use dividend stocks as a strategy to kind of make money while we wait for better opportunities to present themselves. PALL we've had on our watch list. This is the ETF long on palladium. Looks like may present us an opportunity. They did push palladium down, yes, as we saw yesterday, and I'm just waiting for the right entry point. Another one playing that theme on pushing all the sectors of technology together. We've talked about several weeks, and we took some nice scalp trades and made some good money on SOX. SOX is, again, a bear's 3x leverage short on semiconductors. The inverse of SOXS is SOXL. So that's the one I watch to peak and turn down to determine entry points in SOXS. Here's the solar one. I mentioned yesterday I'd found one, and we've been talking about for several weeks how they've been rotating in and out of solar. So, one day solar will be at the top of the industry list, and then the next day solar will be at the bottom of the industry list. So I looked for ones that look like they might be at a stable support level, and I found this SunPower Corp. They also appear to be profitable. That was another one of my concerns with solar, is a lot of them are unprofitable, and I don't want to get stuck in somebody that might be a zombie or just very unprofitable. So we're going to add SPWR to our watch list to try to play that sector rotation in solar. And we'll take a look at its chart in a minute. And then shorting the Russell, we've had SRTY and TZA both on our watch list, and just looking for which one's going to present the best opportunity, the best risk reward. Again, shorting the Russell. We saw, how it was kind of behaving like the S&P. These both ran up late last week as the Russell declined that we saw yesterday. So in a second, we'll jump over to Webull and we'll look at the charts for all of those. Again, if you want to get access to an automatically updated web page, which is updated daily for any changes that I make to the watch list intra-week or even intraday. Our Patreon members, any level of our Patreon, has access to this automatically generated web page. So it also contains our price targets, price levels, and we've added dividend information, ex-dividend dates, yields, etc., whether the symbol's optionable or not. So again, if you'd like access to that information, any level of our Patreon will give you that. And also we have a watch list channel in our Discord that our Patreons have access to, and you can see if I make changes during the day. When I added BDRY, it popped up on one of my alerts, so I posted that out in the watch list channel in our Discord that our Patreons have access to. Also, as we'll see later in this stream, we're looking at selling puts, and when I identify new candidates for potential put sales, I also posted that in the watch list category. So, and we'll look at which ones we're looking at selling puts on again when we get to that section of our game plan today. So I hope that all helps. Another nice thing about Webull is you can have, all kinds of different watch lists. This is the online browser version of Webull. Again, just as a reminder, if you're not already using Webull, they're still offering, at least their 12 free stocks. If you just open an account, you get 2 free stocks worth $3,000 to $3,000. Then if you fund your account with at least $100, you get up to 10 more free stocks, each worth between $3,000 and $3,000. So as you can see in our videos, we use Webull for our market analysis, our due diligence, the majority of our trading. I really love the 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. trading hours because, again, some of these ETFs, these leveraged ETFs, they rebalance at different times, often at 4 a.m., and sometimes that offers some very attractive opportunities. So it's nice to be able to take advantage of those. So here's BDRY. This again is this dry bulk shipping. Again, I like it around the 675 level. That's a long-term support level we'd identified. Looks like it bounced pretty aggressively off that level, ran up. We'll see if it rolls back down. I'd like to get a double bottom there. It had been, downtrending pretty seriously before that. But again, that level seems to be a good support level. So again, we'll see if we get a bounce off that level again, then we'd go long on BDRY, dry bulk shipping. We looked at FAZ, see if we'll get a rollover in that. Same thing with LABD. LABD's got to come down a bit. Here's this OPP. This is the bond fund. You can see they've been driving it down. I would like it anywhere around 850, 860 or less. You can see the previous low is 814. You see it pays a monthly dividend around 10 cents. That was 14 cents, 15 cents. The last one was 10. So it's got a real nice yield. Again, that's where we'd buy a big chunk of that and sit on it for a while and just collect dividends. Here's Palladium, PALL. You see it dropped a little bit below my price target. It's had a pretty steep decline on Friday. We'll see if that's a stable bottom. If it swings back up, we'll go long Palladium with PALL. Here's SOX, which is the short on semiconductors. You can see I've got an order sitting there at the previous, essentially the penny above the previous low. I put that in Friday just in case, I probably put it in Wednesday or Thursday, just waiting for them to take a push. If they did that while I was at the beach, that would have been fine. So if they just push semiconductors up a little bit again, then we'll go long SOX to short semiconductors again. Here's that SunPower. It looks like there's a reasonably stable support in the low 15s. You can see that it does have some risk, some downside down to the high 12s. So I'd like to see, is that a stable support level? it's been downtrending, but again, if they do the sector rotation, you can see how it's been swinging up, from 15 to 19, and then longer term, it's got some nice upside into the 20s, 28. So here's the two shorts on the Russell, and again, you see those ran up. They had pushed them up, and I just didn't chase it up there. We'll see if it rolls over again. If we get, what I've been saying, an irrational, exuberant reaction to CPI or PPI this week, then maybe we'll get an opportunity to jump in and short the Russell. You see both SRTY and TZA have similar looks, different prices, slightly different risk rewards. So it's just a matter of which ones offers the best opportunity at the time. We really don't have anything on our bullpen right now. I'm going to take UROY off the bullpen as it's already run up. That was the one uranium that we were watching. Again, they ran uranium up, so we'll wait, and if they happen to rotate out of uranium, rotate back out of that, then we'll see if that presents an opportunity again. So let me grab a drink a second, and then we'll talk about ETFs. Let me bring up my spreadsheet, and then we'll go over any ETFs. So if there's any categories that you'd like to focus on in addition to the ones we have on our watch list, please throw those up in the chat, and we can take a particular look at those as well. First, I'd like to highlight some additions to, and we're making quite a few additions to our ETF spreadsheet as fast as we can, and several that were identified. I was listening to some videos by Bob Sharp. He has some really good videos on various ETFs, more investing, etc. And he identified several of different ways to play different size, essentially ETFs, indices, etc. And he recommended these as possible investment candidates. So I've added each of these in these categories in our spreadsheet as well. So it's something you might take a look at, consider. Some of these you may also see showing up in our dividend spreadsheet. So again, thank you to Bob Sharp for pointing out these large cap, mid cap, and mega cap additional ETFs that we've added to our spreadsheet. Also, I want to highlight some enhancements and some further additions to our ETF spreadsheet. And just a reminder that our all access and VIP patrons via Patreon have 24/7 access to the spreadsheet, so you can access it. It's updated with Google Finance functions near real time. It's about a 20-minute lag on those functions, and then at the end of the day I run further automation that updates a number of other columns in this spreadsheet, does some calculations, etc. Additionally, I've added some custom highlighting that the symbol shows green if all its risk reward columns are greater than 2, which is kind of my threshold. And I'm also working on adding artificial intelligence. I'll show you a couple of those. And also very quickly, I will show you how I identified those. So what I did is in FinViz, is I just entered the search. I put artificial. If I go to FinViz home and I just type artificial. Now you don't want to type, I'll show you this. If you type artificial intelligence, it doesn't find anything. If I just type artificial, I get a list, and you can see here's a set of ETFs that have artificial intelligence in their name. There's also a list of companies, a large list that have artificial something in their description. So I took that, and then you can jump over to the screener, look at those specific items. So those links are both in our notes, so you can directly get access to those. You can see then it shows the details for the ones, the ETFs that it identified in that screener. And then what I did, and I'll show you this in our spreadsheet, is I copied that table from FinBiz here, and then I have added a sheet in our Google Sheet titled FinBiz, where I can then paste a table directly from the FinBiz screener into that tab or that sheet in our Google Sheet, and then I can do my analysis as to support and resistance levels, get risk reward calculations, etc., and then work on adding them directly into our main ETF spreadsheet. So you can see I added this category, AI, artificial intelligence, as you all know with the chat GPT, etc. We've got a lot of hype around this category. Yesterday I shared with you an article with the top 20 stocks to play this theme right now. One of the ones mentioned often is bots. We already had that one in our database. I added Robo to our spreadsheet, and then I'm working on evaluating the others to see if we also want those in our ETF spreadsheet. So you could see how I added that. And again, you can use this spreadsheet. You can make a copy of it. If you do make a copy, again, you won't get the updates from our automation. I run the automation, and it updates the support and resistance top and bottom categories at the end of each day, and then those risk reward levels are calculated based on that. So I hope that all helps you see how you can quickly and easily find artificial intelligence related stocks, ETFs, etc., using FinBiz. And then again, we'll add ones that are potential attractive candidates in our ETF spreadsheet for your future reference. Ricky Khan says he wonders if oil will continue this week. Yesterday, we kind of looked at seeing if nat gas is really at a bottom. We've talked about that the sentiment in general has been down. So we'll have to see. Welcome, Doug M. Flip of the Shippa. Thank you for joining us. Glad to see you all. Hope you're doing well. So again, now with this highlighting, I can quickly, at the end of the day, I can very quickly jump through which ones have attractive risk reward. I can check them, versus their support levels. Defense shows attractive, but it's quite a bit above its support. ARC's down. You can see LABD shows up. You can see the risk reward profile looks pretty attractive. The cannabis was getting close. We don't want consumer discretionary really. Here's BDRY we just talked about. So you can see its risk reward profile looks pretty attractive. Here's FANG-D. We're still long FANG-D. Nail is home builders a little bit above support. Keeping an eye on that one. So you see Boyle right now is not showing terribly attractive. It may continue up. Now again, there's a number of these, a bunch of these. If you're a short-term trader, day trader, momentum trader, breakout trader, you can trade natural gas, it's got pretty serious swings, could be up to 10% a day. We use boil to go long, cold to go short. We currently have positions in both, and we're scalping covered calls on both of those positions, depending on just whichever way they're pushing natural gas at the time. Similarly with oil, we talked yesterday, you can long with drip, short, or long with Gus, short with drip, or long with UCO, short with SCO. Spreadsheet will show you, which one's showing attractive. Here's PALL. We talked about the risk reward on that, showing attractive at, this 140 level and below. That's showing long on the Russell. Here's SOXS. There's another semiconductor short, SSG. But yeah, and that's another option. I traditionally have used SOXS. Silver, we talked about that, the silver precipitously dropped. If you want a long silver, we've used AGQ in the past, but again, it's still pretty high. You see both this TZA and we've been watching this Vietnam one. Okay, does anybody else have any other categories you want to look at? ETFs? If not, we'll continue. Okay. So the next topic, typically I talk about shopping lists. Again, if you're new to our channel, the basic concept of the shopping list is, have your list of stocks that you always wanted to buy and you're just waiting for an opportunity, be it an irrational reaction to earnings, an irrational reaction to the CPI number, etc. Have your list ready that you can pounce on if the opportunity presents itself. Just again, I recommend, again, not financial advice, just my opinion, recommendation is you don't want to get stuck with zombie companies or zombie ETFs. Want to make sure they're inflation proof. Inflation's still going to be high, even if it's starting to come down. Interest rates still going up, even if it's going up at a slower rate. And the jury's still out whether we're going to go back into a recession or not. So the safest thing is just make sure that anything that you're going to put in your portfolio is going to be proof against, high inflation, high interest rates for longer, and potential of a recession. Okay, now I've got some new developments and some major categories that we're kind of focusing on right now, given the current market conditions. We'll talk about our option strategy, how we're looking at selling puts. We've been selling covered calls. I started looking because volatility dropped off and the options premiums weren't as attractive as they were previously. I started thinking about other ways to deploy capital, deploy cash to make money while we're waiting for additional market opportunities to present themselves. So I started when that OPP popped up, and we've got other dividend-paying stocks like GLDI, SLVO, etc. I started wanting to look more at other opportunities for dividend-paying stocks. So we showed last week, and we just released a video about how you can find dividend-paying stocks in FinViz, and then also our introduction to this Google sheet. It's titled Dividend Payers 1. It's a Google sheet. I'll show you in a minute. And again, our Patreons are all access, and VIP Patreons will have access to this Google sheet as well. So you can review it whenever you want. Again, it has updates from Google Finance functions. And then I automatically run automation to update this one as well, just like our options one and our ETF Google sheet at the end of the day. So some of the enhancements that we'll see, I'll go ahead and bring this guy up a second. So I've added links to the profile for each symbol, so you can just hit the link and see its profile in FinBiz. I've added an adjusted yield category. We were just, posting the yield that our data source is giving us. And one of the criticisms with some of these dividend payer stocks that people point out is the price appreciation, and that some don't really appreciate in price, some may go down in price. So I'm looking at both the yield and the adjusted yield, and you can see the adjusted yield is the normal yield times the price plus the reward divided by the price. So I'm looking at the potential price appreciation and then recalculating the yield based on both its given dividend yield and the price appreciation. So we'll see that makes some, that have some price appreciation potential even more attractive. Then I'm also highlighting the symbol. Highlighting the symbol if the price is within 10% of the support price. That way I can see which ones, are close to a support level that I might actually want to buy right now. Also, I tag them red if the adjusted yield category is less than 5%. That's a question for the community is, that's an adjustable threshold. We can change that number to be whatever. I chose 5% because that's essentially not beating inflation, and it's not really beating the future Fed funds rate. So there's probably lower risk opportunities with treasuries, bonds, etc. That could get you, around 5% ROI without, again, taking the risk with a stock or an ETF. So anything below 5%, I'm throwing out, saying that's not going to beat inflation, not going to beat lower risk opportunities. So again, you can let me know if we should change that, and or if there's any other criteria you'd like to see. We can do highlighting, etc. in this spreadsheet. Just let me know what you'd like to see. Also, on the ex-dividend date, some of the data coming out of our database, the data source reports anybody who reports that they had a dividend and gives me an ex-dividend date, but it could be old. They could have discontinued their dividends. So if it's older than the past year, I'm tagging them as red so that you'll know that it looks like they probably discontinued their dividend. Also, as you'll see, I added an ad sheet, and then I added some additional monthly dividend paying stocks that Bob Sharp had pointed out, and I'm working on adding those to our database and to our spreadsheet so they get updated automatically as well. If you would like us to add any additional dividend payers for research, let us know. You can let us know via our Discord, Facebook group, the comments to this video, etc. Again, our Discord is free to join. You can find an invite in the description box below. And, we have a suggestion box. We have the beach party, which is the main hangout for most people. And again, the suggestion box. So if you'd like us to do research on any additional dividend payers, you can ask in our Discord. Please tag us, at BeachBum Trading, and so I know to look at that. So now I'll show you the dividend payer. Also, I added a frequency column to highlight monthly dividend payers. Now, all of this spreadsheet is currently under construction. I still have some work to do to debug some issues and weed out any of the old stocks that maybe we don't want to consider if they're not if they're not currently paying a dividend. Maybe we want to eliminate those. Right now they're flagged with red, but maybe we just want to eliminate them. Some don't report from my data source, so all the ARCs apparently have a dividend, but again, the data source I'm using, it's not giving me the data. So you'll see gaps in some cases. So again, these price, change, low, high are all based on Google Finance functions. Also, the 52-week high and low are based on Google Finance functions, so they update approximately every 20 minutes. Support resistance is retrieved from our database. So again, at the end of the day, I update all of those from our database. Also, I have the frequencies. I need to update some like REITs and some others that are monthly dividend payers. But you can see some of the ones that Bob Sharp identified that I'm working on adding are SPHD, CID, XYLD, PGX, and those are all monthly dividend payers. So we're getting those worked into our spreadsheet as well. And then I've got the highlighting. So if they pay, if they're close to their support level, so we can see CVS is at 89, support at 84. So that flags that maybe I want to take a look at maybe buying some CVS. Now, as we talked a couple weeks ago, I have some other issues with CVS. I probably wouldn't buy CVS, but again, it at least tags them. Okay, here's Dish, but it looks like they discontinued their dividend. And then you can go through here and identify others. Here's GLDIs close to support. So and GLDI is a very nice pair. So you can see it's got a 17% yield. It has some price appreciation. So there's the adjusted yield. Also, we'll see JEPQ. We've talked about a couple weeks ago. Some people like that. Welcome, Douglas PC. Born to be free. Thank you for joining us. So OPP will show up again. That tells me okay, good opportunity to potentially buy OPP. You see, it's got a 14% yield, adjusted yield over 20%. So again, all this is under construction, but hopefully this will help you identify potential dividend payers that are attractive at the particular time to potentially buy. You can see what their yield is, identify ones that meet your criteria that you may want to buy, invest, to get long-term cash flow via dividends. You can also see the risk reward. So maybe you want a low risk dividend payer, and you can balance the yield and the adjusted yield versus the potential risk. So some of these are very stable. JEPI, JEPQ, I think are pretty stable. They don't have a whole lot of movement. So, their yield and JEPQ is not too bad. JEPI, but you can see they don't move a whole lot. So again, that'll allow you to balance the risk reward, potential price appreciation versus dividend yield. Select the best dividend paying stocks, ETFs that meet your criteria. So we hope that all helps. We'd love your feedback. Any changes you'd like to see to this to help you identify dividend payers. Again, generate cash flow while you're waiting, for other opportunities to deploy idle cash, make money while you're waiting. So again, we'd love your feedback. If you find this helpful, let us know. If you have any feedback for changes, let us know that as well. So I'm currently, again, actively working on that, making improvements, trying to figure out the best combination for us to be able to find dividend-paying stocks that are currently attractive that we might want to buy like this week, and then I'll probably start adding those, to our watch list as I identify those. So let me grab a drink and we'll talk about options. Again, options is another way to make money in any market. It's particularly attractive when the market's choppy, and we were doing that the past several weeks, and then volatility dropped off a bit and it hasn't been as attractive in the past week. But we'll show you how we're using that as a potential additional opportunity to deploy idle cash to make money trading. So just a sec. So we've been talking about our option strategy and how, we're continuing to evolve our option strategies, add to, um, again, evolve our option strategy. So I won't go over, what we've talked about before. I'll focus on the changes this week. So one of the things in the past that I had said was I didn't want to buy or sell puts against something that I might want to buy shares. And upon rethinking that a bit, I thought, well, why don't I do both? So something like a Disney or something where if it gets low enough to our price target, I might want to just buy shares. And it was also presenting profitable opportunities to potentially sell puts. I thought, well, I'll do both. I'll sell the put, and then if it does happen to go to our price level or below, well, then I'll buy the shares. So. Again, I'm not going to exclude anything just because I want to buy shares in it. And again, maybe I'll do both. Split the capital I would invest in buying shares, sell a put against it with part, and if it does get down there and we get a side or not, I'll just buy shares. Again, we'll look at our puts, return on invested capital Google Sheet. Again, we've been covering this now for several weeks. This is how we're using to identify potential opportunities to sell puts. In our case, it's typically cash secured puts because most of this trading we do in retirement accounts, so they have to be cash secured. In our case, if it's in a retirement account, it has to be cash secured. Again, our All Access and VIP Patreons have access to our puts ROIC Google Sheet as well. So again, you can use this to identify potential opportunities to sell puts during the day. Some enhancements recently. So if the ROIC, the return on invested capital, is over 5%, you'll see it show up in green. I also added highlighting on the last and high columns to show green if it's over the potential premium collected is over $100. If it's under $100, I'm not terribly interested in it. It's just, in my humble opinion, it's not worth chasing at that point. So I want to focus on those where recently it has had a over $1 premium opportunity. So I also added this ad sheet to for researching new symbols. So again, if you want to request do research on a particular option, you can request that via our Discord, via our Facebook group, in the comments, etc. And then I can run the research on that. I've also added a direct link to the FinViz profile, so you can easily, jump over to the stock, see where it's at. Is it a good support level to sell a put against? And again, we're continuing to release videos showing, our strategy with dealing with dividend payers, and also our strategy with options, our evolving strategy with options. So I'll continue to share those videos as we evolve these strategies and how we're doing it, how we're using these Google Sheets to help us identify potential opportunities. So I'll quickly look at this. This is our puts ROIC Google Sheet. Again, our Patreon members have access to this all the time, so you can quickly identify potential opportunities. Let me zoom in a little bit. So you can see the ones in green on the change says as of Friday, those stocks were going down, which meant puts might be attractive. Puts premium should be going up. We can see the return on invested capital. Again, I'm looking for something, as high as possible, but at least over 5%. We can see, some I've added recently, Moderna, NVIDIA. Here's one I added late last week from our research tab. This is a bank, Bank of New York, and it was showing as a 7%, and we could see it also has a recent premium of $1.85. So I think I put an order out to sell that one. The ones that tagged with yellow, I actually have orders out to sell. So you can see I'm trying to sell on Amazon, on Disney, I think Generac. Yep, Generac. This SBNY. Yep, and also on Tesla. I might look at upping the strike price on Tesla back to that 126 strike price, but as you can see, the premium on this is pretty low. I did update the expirations all to be March, so now the March 17th expiration is within our 40-day window. So I did update all these to now look at March, see if I can get a better premium. But you can see in general, the premiums are pretty low. So selling puts isn't as attractive as it was a couple of weeks ago. If volatility picks up, we'll see selling puts may again be more attractive. We see Generac getting close to $1, so that might be an opportunity. So I also have this research tab where I can see, okay, maybe Apple, maybe I want to look at Apple, AMD, Match. I was looking at Match Group. See, none of these are $1 or better. Here's this VFC, but it's only got a 3% ROI. It's got $1 premium, but only 3% ROI. So again, you can see how you can use the research tab to identify others that potentially, we might want to add to our watch list. And then, as I showed last couple weeks, I used the ROIC tool, the option seller ROI tool, to identify additional candidates. And that's either in the video we recently released or it's in one of the bonus videos that we have the link to in our notes, and we'll be releasing to show how we're using the option seller ROI tool to identify candidates to add to the research tab, and then see if they meet our criteria to add to our watch list to sell puts. And again, you can see I updated in the watch list channel in our Discord when I identified additional puts that we wanted to add to our watch list for looking at selling puts. So we hope that all helps. Let us know if this is helping you. If you have, again, any changes, recommendations for improvement to our puts ROIC spreadsheet, Google Sheet, this whole system, this whole process of trying to identify opportunities to sell puts to, again, generate additional revenue, while we're looking for opportunities to, trade stocks and ETFs. We can also trade options. We can buy dividends, generate dividends, etc. So in my humble opinion, the more ways you have to make money trading, the better. And at different times, in different market environments, different one of these or some of these opportunities will be better than others. So again, that's my opinion. You can let me know if that's helping you as well. So I've got a couple minutes. I can take any questions from the chat. If I missed your question in the past, I apologize. Please repost it. Let me grab a drink and I'll see if I can answer just a couple questions before we wrap up. Okay. So again, if I missed your question, please let me know. Also, you can always, again, ask your question in our Discord. Again, you can find an invite to our Discord in the description box below. Our Discord is free to join. The main channel people tend to hang out in is the Beach Party, but we have channels for different types of trading different asset classes. You can see we've been discussing our options trading and the options channel. So again, whatever you want to focus on, different trading platforms, etc. So again, you can find an invite to our Discord in the description box below. Also on our homepage, which is beachbumtrading.com, bum without the U. In the link section, you'll find the invite to our Discord, links to our Facebook group, links to all of our social media sites. So if you want to ask us a question on social media, you can do that. Also, resources, trading tools. There's a link to the option seller ROI tool and the other tools and resources we use, etc. Also in the link section on our homepage. So again, it gives you a quick and easy reference to get to all the resources we use. And if you'd like us to add something there, just let us know. Okay. So again, if you have any further questions, post them as comments, etc. And we'll answer them as we're able. We hope this all helps. We hope you have a great trading week this week, February 13th through February 17th. And good luck and have a great trading week. Bye.